Hey guys, we're here with the special guest today, Jason, who just finished top 4 at the remote regional with Purrely. So, Purrely is kind of a deck that's slept on nowadays. What are your thoughts on this deck for this new format?
Honestly, I think Purrely is pretty good into this format because this is one of those decks where it doesn't want to be the best deck because everyone's side deck would just target it. This deck performs very well when it's under the radar and um, when it's in these kind of times, like all your plays will go through. I think like if you look back a couple of formats ago, this deck was hit so hard when everyone was playing like Book of Moons and Herald of the Abyss, stuff like that. But now you rarely see that. So your Yeep will almost like always resolve, and you just get so much value with your plays. So I just think playing this deck right now is really good. But on top of that, because everyone knows that the Fire decks, specifically Fire Kings, is the deck to beat, I think this deck has a pretty good matchup against that. Mostly due to the fact that Stray Pearly Street is a really good card against that. It can shut down Promethean Princess. And in addition to that, in the side deck, this deck can run some pretty spicy cards that have a pretty good win rate, I feel, if you see them.
Awesome. Well, let's just get right into the list then.
Okay, yep. So for the Pearly engine, three Pearlies, pretty standard. Two Purrelys. This could be three, but I just wanted to cut one down just to fit more non-engine space. I just feel like we're kind of in a hand trap format, so I just want to see as many hand traps as possible than seeing this extra normal summon. So just running two. And then we got the three My Friends, two Sleepies, one Delicious, three Happy Memories, three Pretty Memories, three Field Spell. This card was very good for me all day today. I really liked it. And one Pearly Yeep. And then in addition to that, I'm also running a very small Dark World package. I really like this package. I'm running triple Rainbows and one Silva. So I feel like anytime I see this package, especially going first, your win rate is very good because seeing one rainbow essentially gives you infinite discard. So your peak end board lets you resolve three Pearlies and one Purrely. And then you can basically go full combo that way. And then on top of that, you get a bunch of Link Fodder that you can turn these into either like an Appaloosa or like an SP. So this is like really good. But even going second, these are pretty big bodies that just put pressure on the board that you can use to like just link away, make SP, and then just clear the board that way. So I feel like all day this was very good for me. The only drawback is that like I guess you lose to Droll, but I feel like you just put your opponent on having it. Three Prosperities. This deck just needs an extra boost of consistency. And then for the hand traps, three Drolls. I think this is like one of the better hand traps right now because this is the only one that can stop the Fire King deck to an extent. So it makes them end on a half board where they have maybe like four interrupts, and that's within range of what this deck can do to like clear their board and win the game. So I just want one card that can accomplish that. And then also playing triple Nibiru's, and then triple Ash Blossom, triple Imprims. So a total of 12 hand traps. So I think the math checks out that half the time you'll see two hand traps, which is enough to stop your opponent completely. And then I still feel like for these regionals, I just want some generic hand traps. So I just feel like these four were the best ones. And then the last card for the 41st card was Called By. I was really worried about Droll and Lockbird, especially going second. If you get drolled, then that can really hinder your happiness line. So you can't search like four times. I think this card was pretty solid. It also hits Princess in the graveyard, which is a pretty big interaction. So that's the main deck. For the extra deck, playing one E Pearly Noir, two X Pearly Noir, one Plump, one Beauty. Some people play two, but I just want to fit more links, so I'm playing one Beauty. Two Happiness. This card was insane for me today. And then Zeus package, Zeus and Downerd. And then for the links, we have Anima, IP, and SP. I go into these a lot because of the Dark Worlds. One BLS. I'm playing this because I run the Dark Worlds and that Rainbow is a level 8, so making this does come up. And this can kind of be like a pseudo Towers in addition to Noir. I didn't make it today, but the idea is that for some matchups, they might not have the out for it. So you just make this and then just sit on it. And then I play Appaloosa. So again, with the Dark World stuff, you you summon a bunch of bodies, so you just turn those extra bodies into Appaloosa, and then this can just close out the game because now your opponent has to deal with Noir in addition to Appaloosa, which is very hard. And last card in extra deck is Condemned Dark Lord. This card was really good. Round one won me a game in time. This deck has a really bad time problem because your My Friend Purrely burns you for 500. So there will be some times where you win your game one, but this deck is kind of grindy. So your game one maybe takes like I don't know 25 minutes, and then your game two usually your opponent will win because they're going first. And then once it's game three and there's like a couple minutes left, there's no way that you can set up a board and then stop your opponent's turn and then win on turn three. So you really have to just hard make this guy and just use its end phase effect to gain 500, or it could gain 1,000, I guess, depending on how many fairies you have on field. But just end on this, and then that way you at least have a time condition card. So it came up today, so I think it was really nice. So that's the extra deck, and then for the side deck, so I mentioned earlier that this deck can run some pretty nice side deck options that have a pretty good win rate when you resolve them against the Fire King deck or even Snake Eye deck. So we start with Dimensional Fissure. This card was really good for me today because this is really good going first and second. Going first, I almost will always put this in no matter what the deck is, but specifically against Fire King, this is Floodgate. But if it's not Floodgate, this can at least stop Droll, and Droll is pretty good against this deck. So if I can at least stop that, that's nice. And then so that's Fissure, and I have 3 Gravekeeper's Inscription. So this card is really nice too because you can use this going first or second. So if you're playing up against the Fire King deck and they set up a graveyard, you just Inscription them, and then you just turn off their entire graveyard, and your engine should be good enough to beat their board. And then so just having like 6 copies of these kinds of floodgates or just cards that are just graveyard hate, it gives you a really good chance to win in that matchup. So 3 inscriptions, and then also 3 cosmics. This card is again pretty solid. These are all Fire King hate, so 9 Fire King hate cards. I think these are probably the best ones that this deck can play. One thing also that I want to bring up is that this deck doesn't play Shifter, and I think at the start of the format, people were thinking that Purrely was a pretty good Shifter deck. But after some theorizing, I realized that Shifter is actually horrible against Fire King and Snake Eyes because they can at least end on an SP by playing the field spell. Or if they don't end on SP, I think they can still end on Appaloosa. So if you shifted them, this deck cannot really beat SP or Appaloosa without having a graveyard. And then they will always have follow up for turn 3. So Shifter is just a really bad card. So it's just a neg 1. So I feel like I want to play more board breakers instead. Because I also feel like hand traps aren't enough to beat that deck because you have to draw them in 2s. And also plays into talents. So I just feel like for these, if I just see one of them, then I'll be able to clear the board a bit. But if I see 2, then that's an absolute blowout because if I pair Cosmic with like a Dimensional Fissure, then I can just clear the entire field and then everything gets sent to the graveyard. And then like I think yeah, the chances of these are like really high to see. And in addition to that, I'm running 3 Phantasmes to further increase my chances of seeing one of these or 2 of these. I didn't see this too much today. Unfortunately, I didn't really draw it that much. But the idea is that the Fire King deck, there are some lines where they make like forgot what it's called, but the Link 2, the Salaman Great Link 2, plus a Link Karibo under it, before they go into the Heat Soul for draw 1. If you Phantasmate them at that point, you get to draw 3 cards and then shuffle back 2. But essentially, you can sculpt your hand so that you have everything that you need in place for your turn 2. So this card was really solid in theory. I'll definitely continue playing this because then this just gives me 12 cards in the Fire King matchup. So you have really good chances of drawing that out essentially. And then the last 3 cards I'm playing is Ghost Bell. So yeah, just more Fire King hate cards, but this is also good against Voiceless and can also be used in Snake Eyes. And one other thing I want to mention is that this entire side deck gets put in going second against Fire King. So there's just a lot of targeted hate that I just feel like I need to overcompensate because that is definitely the best deck in the format right now. So by putting these cards in, I feel like I have a good chance. And also, I'm also taking out like Ash, Imperm, Nibiru, So I just don't want to also lose to a card like Towns. So I think this is probably like the best combo of cards for all those reasons. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the list.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much and congrats again. Any last shout outs before we end the call?
Yeah, shout outs to my girlfriend Karen for the support. Shout outs to Reagan for testing with me. Shout outs to the local Sunny's Hobbies, and shout outs to the Purrely Discord.
Awesome. Thank you.